Okay, cool. Alrighty, let's get going. All right, cool. All right, welcome to week 3. Like I said, we're going to work on lower body, mainly lower extremities and hips. We're going to do a little bit of low back stuff too. You're going to need a cross ball, maybe a foam roller at the end, depending on how we're doing with time. But yeah, let's get going. We'll go on your back. We'll start with single knee to chest, so one knee at a time, pulling it up, getting that stretch. One knee at a time. If you're getting the pinching in the hip, remember to kind of bring it out just a little bit. I don't want this to be painful in the front of your hip for you, but I want you to get a good little stretch with it. We're going to do a lot of reps with this one. We'll do about 10 on each side. Should have about 2 or 3 down. So this will be the last week of just individualizing the workouts, kind of breaking them up by body part. Starting next week, we'll start doing the whole body. So just putting everything together, what we've been doing, coming up with some different routines you can do at home. Just putting everything together. Hope everybody's staying cool. Looks like it's going to be pretty warm the next couple days. I just moved up to Ukiah, so I was looking at the weather and it said 105, which I'm happy to be at work today. Let's do one more on each side after this. And again, if we're doing anything today and you're getting some pain with it, wait until the end and we could chat about it for some alternatives that you could do. But if you're having pain, just make sure that you're not pushing yourself through pain. Just kind of sit that one out for a little bit. Okay, next we'll go into our hip stretches. So we'll cross this leg over, push down on the outside of that leg. It's going to stretch out that lateral hip capsule. We'll hold that, nice long hold. We're going to hold it for about 45 seconds. Make sure when you're doing this at home, a lot of people like to count to 45 really quick when they're doing stretches, but you want to get a good stretch, so you have to hold it that whole time. No point in trying to cheat yourself. If you're cheating yourself, you're not going to get a good stretch. You want to really focus on feeling the stretch, feeling it in the right place, and holding it for the amount of time that you could actually produce a real stretch in that muscle tissue. Hold for about 10 more seconds. All right, and switch. Now we'll do the other side. Pushing down on that knee, that leg crossed over. Oh, my left side is tight. So pushing down on that knee, with that leg crossed over, feeling that stretch through the outside of the hip. Nice long hold. We're holding it for 45 seconds right now, but at home, I'm sure I've said this a few times already. I like to hold stretches whenever I'm really focusing on them for 1.5 to 2 minutes. Good long stretch. All right, bring that leg down. Let's cross the right leg back over. Let's grab the back of the left leg, and we'll pull that straight up like that. You should feel the stretch through, on the other side anyways, through the deep part of the hip. So those deep hip rotators on your right side, pull that leg up. If you can't get into this position to where you can grab the back of your leg, then just go one hand on the ankle, one hand on the knee, and just pull them straight up. So your ankle should be going towards your left shoulder, knee should be going towards the right shoulder. You can pull it up that way and get the same stretch. But if you can get into this position, this is the best way, or the way I like it. Same thing, gonna hold this for about 45 seconds and then we'll switch. We're gonna do a nice warm up today because we're gonna be doing a lot of things in kneeling, a lot of things in quadruped, moving around a little bit more, not just on our back the whole time. So make sure you have a good yoga mat, nice padding, or you're on the carpet, something soft. As you do this, you should feel that stretch start to kind of set in, so you can keep bringing it farther and farther up. All right, let's switch. Cross that left leg over. Grab the back of that leg. Pull up. Good long hold, 45 seconds again. And I hope everybody got the recording from last time. Let me know if you didn't, and I can send you the YouTube link. Feels good. So you got tight hips for moving, so this feels awesome. Let's hold it for about 10 more seconds. Then we'll move on to our Piriformis stretch. Good. Okay, and down. Let's go back over to the right leg. Grab that knee, pull it towards your left shoulder. So you're coming across the body, bringing it towards the left shoulder, up and over. We'll hold that for 45 seconds. You should feel that through that piriformis area. So where the femur, draw a line from the femur to the PSIS, or the bony part in the back of the hip. That's where your piriformis runs. Should feel that stretch right through that area. Same thing, 45 seconds. If you're getting the pinch in the front of the hip, just bring your leg over to the side a little bit more before you come up. All right, let's switch. Hit the other side. Yeah, I got a little pinching going on in my left hip, so I'm gonna bring that over a little more and bring that. Make sure you're breathing. Let's hold it for about 10 more seconds and then we'll move on to our hamstring mobilization. All right. Let's go back to that right leg. Grab the back of that knee. Bring your knee up towards the chest, toes up. Kick straight up, trying to extend your leg out, trying to get it straight. You should feel that pull right through the back of the leg. We've done this one before. You're just going to go up and down. Do about 20 kicks on each side. Good. Keep going with those 20 kicks and then we'll switch. Knee pop. Okay, let's switch sides. Do 20. So toes up, hands behind the knee, kick that knee as straight as you can to where you feel that pull going through that hamstring. This is just getting those muscle fibers sliding back and forth. Trying to break up that fascia with some dynamic movement. Couple more. Okay, now for the fun one. We're gonna work on lacrosse ball. So we'll start with the glutes. It's gonna be a little more tender. So that same area that I was talking about a little bit ago. So bony part on the side of the hip, so greater trochanter of your femur. Bony part in the back of the hip, PSIS. Draw that line, and that's gonna be your area where we're gonna work with that lacrosse ball. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna find that spot. You're gonna put the lacrosse ball in that spot, lean over onto it and cross your leg over. Hand behind like this to support yourself. And then we're just gonna kind of roll up and down, side to side. We're just gonna work through that. You might have to kind of hold yourself up a little bit if that's too much pressure. It's the only way that you can really modify how much pressure you're putting into the ball. We're just gonna roll up and down, side to side for about 30 seconds. And if it hurts, you're probably in the right place. If you're getting any weird nerve symptoms down your leg, get off that. That's your sciatic nerve. So you can roll up and down, side to side, or one other thing you could do is some active internal, external rotation of your hip while you're on that spot. I'll usually do this at home for about 2 to 3 minutes at a time, just finding hot spots throughout the hip, working that whole area through here. Let's hit the other side real quick. So same thing, find that spot on the side of the hip, cross that leg over, lean into it. Oh yeah, left side way tighter. For me, what I'm getting right now is like a intense burning pain, localized in that spot where the ball is. That's fascia releasing, getting pushed on, doesn't feel great until after you get off the ball. If you do like this, I'm worried about you. You might be a little sick in the head. Okay, keep working that through. You can do some of those knee pumps if you want. So that internal, external rotation. This is a really good one for some patients with sciatic nerve issues. If their sciatic nerve is getting kind of hung up in that piriformis area, I will most likely give them that one. Usually I'll give it to them sitting in a chair or on a bench, which works really good. Softer surfaces, if you're sitting on it, it doesn't work as good because you can't really move the ball around as much. But sitting on a chair or a bench usually works really good. All right, we're going to use that lacrosse ball for the calf now. So we'll get it. What I would normally do is prop my leg up or prop the ball up on a yoga block. That way you can get a little more leverage. You'll still be able to get into it pretty good on the ground right here. Good where you can see it. I want your toes up so that your calf is on stretch. And then you can do the same thing. You can roll through there. We'll start with the medial head of your gastroc, which is the inside of the calf. Roll up and down with that. Working through there, same thing. If you feel that burning, that pain through there, probably in a good trigger point. It's tight, so just kind of spend a few minutes or 30 seconds or so working through that calf and find your tight spots. Spend about 30 seconds on each calf. You can just kind of shift your weight as you need to. You're putting your weight through that ball, rolling that. You can work down into your Achilles. It's just hard to get leverage down there without a yoga block. Should work pretty good through your calf though. Ooh, right there. And then one other thing you can do while you're on that ball too is get on that tight spot, so that nice tender spot, and do some ankle pumps while you're on it. This is a good active release for that calf. Do about 10, 15 ankle pumps, find another spot, do it again. All right, let's switch sides. Let's hit that other calf. Toes up, rolling around, searching for that spot. Left calf isn't quite as tight. So I'm just putting my weight right through that spot, just kind of pushing into the ball, toes up so that my calf's already on a stretch, and that should make everything just pop out at the ball. Working through that, rolling up and down, side to side over those spots, and then doing those ankle pumps once I find a good spot too. Spend about another 15 seconds working on that calf. Move on to some ankle stretching. Okay. All right, take a deep breath, relax. Next, what we'll do is called a talar mobilization. So I don't know if we've done this in previous classes, but the talus, which is the bone or the joint, it's a bone, but the talar joint is where your talus sits in between your tibia and fibula. So in the ankle, it's the main ankle joint. It controls dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. gets tight on a lot of people, especially runners, but it can just cause havoc or wreak havoc all the way up the chain. So often overlooked, really important joint to get moving again. I'm going to show you, let's show you my favorite tailor mobilization. I'll do this in standing or I'll do this in kneeling. You're going to have your foot out in front. Imagine there's a wall out in front of you, or you can do this against the wall. You want it to be about 4 inches in front of your foot. What you're going to do is you're going to keep hip, knee, and ankle all in one straight line. Turn so you can see me this way. Hip, knee, ankle all in one straight line here. And then you're just going to lean your knee forward, keeping your heel on the ground the whole time. So leaning forward, heel on the ground. You're going to go as far as you can, not letting your heel come off the ground. Now, if you do that, if your talus is tight, you'll feel that stretch right through here. Let's just do a few rocks into that. Keeping the heel on the ground the whole time. Don't let it come up. It's going to want to. We'll do about 10 rocks. Again, you're just going straight forward. The knees bending, so if you're doing this standing up, you're just keeping everything down and you're just trying to bend your knee, trying to get it to tap the wall. Back. Do a few more. After I broke my leg, this was one that I really had to work on because my whole leg just tightened up, turned into a fascial mess. This one got it moving again. All right, let's switch. Yeah, this was the side that I broke. And it's still a little tight, but it's moving way better than it was. And some of you, if you have had an injury to that fibula or your tibia down low, if you have some hardware in there, you might feel a stretch through the back of the leg right through there. That is pretty common as well. That'll stretch that out. So it's a 2-for-1. Maybe even 3-for-1 if your Achilles is stretching. Keep that heel down. The knees going straight forward each time you rock. All right, good. Let everybody finish those up. Probably have a couple left. Next, we're going to get into a hip flexor stretch. So now bring that foot out in front. Walk that knee back a little bit so you're in hip extension to start, because we're going to stretch this side out. Then I want you to just lean forward into that. Should feel the stretch right through here, through those hip flexors. We'll hold that for about 20-30 seconds. Nice long stretch. If you need to, if it's too intense, you can kind of rock back and then rock into it. I'm going to do that a couple times because mine is pretty tight. A little bit longer. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm sitting up nice and tall. Sorry, I was being a bad example, leaning on my knee. Too much thinking. Okay, let's switch sides. So, knee back, leaning into that. That hip flexion now. Holding that. Good. Keep holding that. Looking good. Just gonna make sure nobody's. All right, everybody should be finishing that one up. Next, what we'll do is called the posterior chain stretch. So you're gonna get your toes underneath you here, hands out in front, and then I want you to just rock back onto those toes. All the way back like that. When you feel that stretch, you should feel it through the toes, into the Achilles, maybe even into the back of the legs. You're just gonna rock up and down. This is another one for anybody that's had ankle surgeries, if appropriate. This is a great one. If you have any like arthritis in your big toe, anything like that, probably not gonna wanna do this one. It's gonna be a little too intense. But for those of you that this feels okay, we'll just rock back and forth, and we'll just do like 10 of these, nice and easy. Get that stretch through the big toes, through the plantar fascia, through the Achilles. 2 more. Okay, take a deep breath, relax. Next one we'll do is a frog stretch. So we're gonna go knees nice and wide here like this. And then we're just gonna rock back into that. So should feel that stretch through your adductors here as you rock back and forth. If you don't feel that, widen your feet or your knees out a little bit more so that you can get into that adduction. Go back and forth with that. We're going to do about 15 of these rocks. This one feels good. My toes aren't curled under me. They're just right behind, relaxing, getting a break after the last one. But 15 of these rocks is about a minute, minute and a half. So time-wise, it's like you're getting that nice long stretch. But it's nice doing that dynamic movement at the same time because it's getting the tissues moving over and over. Because they're finding more and more with static stretching on how effective it really is. They're kind of getting more towards the dynamic movement being more effective, which I'm a big fan of. Let's do a few more. Okay, now walk it back up. Take a nice deep breath. And then next one, what you're gonna do, we're gonna hit your adductor longus. And so to do that, you have to bring your hip into a little bit of flexion and out to the side into abduction. So it'll look like that. And then you're just gonna sit back again. We're gonna do some of those rocks. So from the side, hip flexion and abduction. So it's out away from the body, it's out in front too. Just rocking back and forth, one leg at a time. Nice and easy. You shouldn't be getting a bunch of pain with this. You should feel a good stretch. If you're getting a bunch of pain, then don't go quite as far out. Two more. Good. And let's switch. So we're kicking up and out. Working on those adductors. Rocking back and forth with that. We'll do 15 on this side. Got about 5 more. One more. Okay, bring that back in nice and easy. We're going to finish up with a little bit of hip mobility. So now let's go onto the side. Doesn't matter what side you're on to start with. Let's bring that top leg over like that. And we're just going to work on pure hip rotation. So I want you to just lift that leg up and down, which is going to bring your leg into internal rotation, that top leg. We'll do 10 of these. We're going to hit all 4 of these movements. So internal and external rotation on each leg. Okay, bring that leg back, bring this leg in. Now we're working on external rotation of this leg. Lifting that up as far as you can. All right, now you'll just roll over. I'm just going to switch sides so that you guys can see me well. So on your side, top leg over, internal rotation with that left leg, as high as you can. And again, like all other classes, make sure when you're doing these, you're taking those mental notes, seeing where you're tight, where you need to focus on later on. For me, hip internal rotation on the left side is pretty limited compared to the other side. Okay, last one, working on that external rotation. Keep going with those, finish those up. Should have about 5 more. All right, one more exercise or stretch. We're gonna do, so we've done the fallouts for a hip stretch and a back stretch. We're gonna do the hip internal rotation on your back for a hip stretch. So feet nice and wide, a little bit wider than shoulder width, and then you're gonna let your legs fall out to the side, keep your back down flat, cross that leg over, push that knee down so that you feel more of a hip stretch. Hold for about 10 seconds. We'll switch back and forth and we'll do 10 of these. And then we'll be all done, loosened up. Okay, let's switch. Falling out, crossing over. And we'll switch. Again, working on everything coming from the hips. So keep that low back flat. Don't let it roll over. Keep that stretch coming from the hip. Push down with that other ankle. Switch. All right, switch. About halfway there on the last one. There we go. Starting to get a little more. The goal is to touch the ground. If you can do that, you are doing great. Let's do 2 more on each side. Let that leg fall out, cross that leg over. So if you were doing this without the crossover, it would just be trying to touch your knee to your opposite ankle, back and forth. All right, switch. All right, 1 more on each side. All right. Then slowly roll back up. Let the blood get back to your head. All right, so that was week 3. And that was our last class isolating everything. So next week, we're putting it all together. It'll be whole body. We're gonna have some old stuff. We might have some new stuff. Be a big mix of everything. So does anybody have any questions about what we just did? No? If not, I will see you next week. All right, see ya.
I have a question.